in this article we're going to post here, they're talking about they're doing like a reality TV series sponsored by Airbnb. And you want to talk about genius marketing. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
This is so smart. They hired 12 contestants, people who they could follow around, who were going to live in Airbnbs while getting their jobs done from anywhere in the country. Now, why is this amazing for Airbnb, the company? Well, obviously, people that hadn't even contemplated this reality are going, wait, I can just rent a house anywhere in the country?
That looks super fun.
Check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Turn it up.
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
The tides are turning. The time is now.
Your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to invest in foreclosures.
Don't you dare buy a house. Buy a deal. You need to get into this right now.
Yeah.
And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Corum. Recording live from our downtown Colorado Springs studios with our executive producer, Mr. Jonathan Winston.
What's up, deal hunters? What's up, Foreclosure Deals Coach family? We are here and we are ready to get it going. I'm excited.
So excited to have you here, be back on the show doing this darn thing as we do each and every single week right here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. You know, today we got this article discussing the surge amongst short-term rentals amongst remote hybrid workers. Now, I want you to imagine for a minute. You've got this like engineering job, right?
Okay.
And you're based out of Houston, Texas. Let's face it, it's Houston, Texas.
Hey,
right?
man, I like Houston. Other than it being super spread out, the ladies down there is scrum diddly.
I gotta, whoa, ease up, Tiger. Well, you all right? You good? You're back in fantasy?
Megan Thee Stallion.
Take you out of fantasy land for a little bit, bring you back.
Getting a little hot in here, man.
Woo.
Okay.
All right, so you got this job with a company out of Houston. I don't know whether that took a turn for the worse. And they're like, hey, you know, you're working from home now, so you can kind of work from anywhere you want in the country. Let's face facts. Houston's dope, like sometimes of the year with all the scrumdiddlyumptious ladies and all that. But like parts of the year, Houston is not near as cool as, say, Colorado Springs, Colorado, right? So this new generation of hybrid workers, largely spurred by the coronavirus epidemic, where we learned how easy it was to keep employees on the clock, even if they weren't in the office, has spurred this new generation of hybrid workers who can not only work from home, but can work from anywhere, right? So this was huge for companies like Airbnb and VRBO. They actually, in this article we're going to post here, they're talking about they're doing like a reality TV series sponsored by Airbnb. And you want to talk about genius marketing. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
This is so smart. They hired 12 contestants, people who they could follow around, who were going to live in Airbnbs while getting their jobs done from anywhere in the country. Now, why is this amazing for Airbnb, the company? Well, obviously, people that hadn't even contemplated this reality are going, wait, I can just rent a house anywhere in the country?
That looks super fun.
That looks like a bunch of fun, right? But it's also huge for those of us who are in the real estate investment space. Now, I have owned rental properties pretty much at the beginning of my career. So I think we bought our first rental, let's call it 12, 13 years ago, right? Is when we first got into the rental game. We have 13 rentals in the portfolio right now. But recently, we've transitioned some of our rental properties into short-term rentals, Airbnbs/VRBOs. Now, we call them that because those are the websites that you list them on. Okay, they mean the same thing. Just to explain, an Airbnb is the same thing as a VRBO. We name them that because basically they both fall into that category of short-term rentals, right? And a short-term rental, as the name would indicate, is renting the property out for a short period of time to people who are traveling most of the time. They come in for 2 or 3 days. And think about it. If you've got a large family, we got one of our VRBOs that has 6 bedrooms, right? And so you got a large family, you're out here for a wedding or grandpa's birthday or whatever it is, and you're trying to transport 12 to 14 people. Well, you got a couple of options. Option one would be you could rent, if each hotel room sleeps 2, you could rent 7 hotel rooms, right? At an average nightly rate of, let's say, $150 to $200 a night, you just hit $1,400 a night, right? Option two is you could rent one of my big ass houses. All of you could sleep in the same place. In addition to that being far more cost effective, the cost of the house I'm referring to right now is $600 to $700 a night right now. In the up season, it spikes to $800 to $1,000 a night. But today's market, you're about $600 or $700 a night. So it's half what you would have spent on hotel rooms. But also, you're getting the greater family experience, which, you know, that's bittersweet, to be honest with you. When I'm on vacation, the last thing I want to do is kick it with family. But I understand the benefit of that, right? But also, you got to think about meals, right? If you got to take those 14 people out to dinner at Red Lobster, right? Average plate, $20 a person times 14 people, you're blowing another $300-$400 a night per meal, whereas these Airbnbs have kitchens. You can go buy food from the grocery store, and the little Bobby could be whining about, I want pizza. Like, well, we going to make pizza at home, little Bobby.
DiGiorno.
Right? Because we already spent $700 a night on this. We don't need to get, you're going to get DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. Get used to that. Go back to your room.
That's not actually your room, but only for this
the
time.
room that you're borrowing, right?
Yeah.
So from a large family transport perspective, it's just a very highly logical thing, right? Well, now transcend that into the new remote workplace, as this article goes into, and Airbnb is talking to people and going, these Airbnbs will offer these huge discount rates. If you book, instead of booking per night, you book for the entire month, it is still more, in most cases, than you could rent a place for on a normal lease-type lease.
Right.
But you've got this geographic freedom, which is one of those things I talk to my coaching students about. See, the 3 freedoms we're going for: financial freedom, which is kind of obvious, having more money than you need to cover your bills, right? That's the general goal of real estate investors. The next one is time freedom, being able to do what you want when you want with your time, right? And that's a tougher one to come by because, generally speaking, your job or a number of other things, even in my case, I own a business, but the business still takes up a lot of my time. I don't have full-time freedom yet, right? And the final freedom you're looking to gain is geographic freedom, where when it's bitter freaking cold like it is right now in Colorado Springs, Colorado, I'm looking out the window and it's snowing like a banshee right now, and I'm not feeling all that snow. Like, I'd rather be anywhere else. Well, I could just I could hop on Airbnb right now and go, I could be in Phoenix, Arizona, getting my work done from any remote location. Airbnb's plans to capitalize that on a very large scale. So today's show is about going over how to prepare your Airbnbs for this new remote worker situation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you want to build out, and I'll tell you, this is hugely beneficial because certain areas you might have an HOA, like some of my properties are HOAs, and you always got the one dude, like the older couple of the HOA who got nothing to do.
Stop snitching, Eugene. Man.
You know Eugene too?
That dude, man.
I'm going to find him. But Eugene's got nothing better to do but report your short-term rental activities, stopping you from using your private property rights to make a bunch of money on Airbnbs. But what Eugene doesn't know, sorry, I could be a little less sluggish. Now I'm calming down. I got excited. I'm good now.
That Eugene, he gets you riled up, man.
Eugene pisses me off, man. What Eugene doesn't know is that most HOAs allow for 30-day rentals at minimum, right? It's still short-term in a sense because you're not signing a 1 or 2 year lease. But these HOAs don't usually have restrictions that go below 30 days. So this is awesome, but you have to make sure that your potential tenant has a house that is designed for their remote working capabilities. And if you can set that up, we have booked several full month-long, 30-day, sometimes 2 or 3 month rentals. And again, going back to the benefit to the worker, if they can work from anywhere, why not be in Hawaii for a couple months, right? If the job is cool with it, you know, and you're not trying to be in Colorado, while it's snowing like crazy, this is a huge opportunity. So we're going to go over just a couple of things that obviously, I mean, you should know obviously that these things are going to need, but I want to go into it because if you can set your Airbnb short-term rentals up as remote worker enabled, that's one more checkbox you put on your Airbnb list, and that's going to attract a higher income that you can get from a normal monthly rental, while doing the same amount of work, which is practically nothing for a rental because you're only turning it over every 30 days or 30 to 60 days, and you're still getting that higher dollar rate, okay? So let's start at the top. The biggest one here is going to be internet access. Why is this remote thing working? Why is it functional? Well, now we can hop on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Right, and have a conversation. Jonathan and I have actually done several, during coronavirus specifically, we were doing a lot of our recordings
over Zoom.
via Zoom. Right? Because we still wanted to have that FaceTime, that interaction. A lot of this show, you can't see it, but it's me making faces at him or throwing stuff or flicking him off or whatever, right?
How rude.
We need that, though. We need that interaction. It is a little rude, but like we need that. And if you're trying to telework, which is what they're calling the remote working space, your boss wants to see that you put a shirt on this morning. That's going to be cool. He may not be able to see if you got pants on or not.
Don't stand up.
Right? But he needs to know that you got dressed somewhat to go to work today, because that's going to be a sign of productivity, right? The Apple Corporation is something like 85 or 90% remote work right now.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy? You got all these high-level engineers and salespeople and this multi-billion-dollar company that though they have a massive and awesome campus, very few of their employees actually go to the office every single day because they knew it was better for quality of life. They knew it was better for getting the right employees who prefer to work from home. And they also know that this remote worker thing from all over the world is going to take off, right? So they were planning ahead for that, right? So hugely important that you've got good internet access. Now, you can go to Comcast, Xfinity, CenturyLink, and all of them got that entry level. We just call it the cheap-ass package.
Don't play yourself.
Don't do that to yourself, right? Because now your Zoom conversation is like, well, I started the report, but right? And we had that problem, did we not? We were trying to do our Zoom calls where we were constantly breaking up. We weren't getting the level of quality that we really needed to have a solid conversation. Right? So step one is you're going to want to splurge a little bit on your internet access, right? You don't have to buy the top tier 1 gigabyte per second package that gamers need to take on, the planet Orion and rescue the princess from the tower and all that stuff. But you are going to need the upper grade internet package, okay? Right. So don't cheap out on the internet, players. Come on. Right, and if you know anything about internet, that to some degree, that cheap one they offer is never quite good enough to stream and do that kind of thing. So upgrade a little bit there, okay? The next thing you're going to need, and it's kind of along the lines of the internet thing, is a really strong Wi-Fi signal, right? You could put it at one desk space, and you could have them hardwire, but let's face it, as remote workers, part of the reason we want to work from remote is because we want to hop in bed and get that report. We want to do that TPS report from the bedroom or anywhere else, right?
Exactly.
Hi, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. One of the things we talk about on the show is the importance of great foreclosure data in helping you to find a great deal on a foreclosure property. But where do you find this data? You're certainly not going to find it on Realtor.com. You can't get it on your local MLS. So we have partnered with data provider Foreclosures.com to get you the latest and greatest in foreclosure listings right there in your local market. These properties are not hit the market in most cases, and when they have been foreclosed, gives you easy access to find out more detail so you can get the best deal on a foreclosure property. Getting started is super easy. Head on out to foreclosuredealscoach.com and click on the link labeled foreclosure list. Enter your zip code for a free 7-day trial of the best foreclosure listing data available in your local market. These properties are not even on the market yet, so you can get a jump on them and get a great deal. Once again, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
Lounging on the chase.
Right. Or out on the deck, right? Or on the beach, or wherever your property has to be located. So you want to, again, don't cheap out on not just your internet coming into the property, but the Wi-Fi signal needs to be tight. Now, one way to make sure that's good is there are consultants out there, they're relatively inexpensive, that will go through your property and find the dead zones for you, okay? And so you can get a signal, you can buy one, but you're probably not going to do this enough, but you can buy a signal strength meter. You can walk around the property and see where any potential dead spots. The whole house does not need to be hot for internet, okay? They're probably, if they are doing work from the bathroom, their boss is not going to appreciate that as much, right? And you're probably going to lose a couple laptops that way. But try to think ahead on where they're going to want it. The backyard, if you got one, the patio, right? Outdoor. Imagine being able to get your work done, but you're sitting outside. This is a quality of life question, okay? And if you're providing that quality of life to these tenants in your Airbnbs, you're going to be super happy. I've had situations where they were supposed to stay for a month. They're like, man, your house is dope. We're getting a lot of stuff done anyway. And you have it booked for next month? I'm like, no. You can have it next month too. And they stay longer because you're providing that service. So internet and Wi-Fi is critical. Okay. From there, you just want to make a work safety environment. I put desks in all of our Airbnbs that we're trying to do this with. I put a workspace in there. I put in large monitors. This may be an expense that's too much for you, but I put in 2 40-inch monitors. Let's face it, monitors are dirt cheap right now. Yeah. Right? You can get a nice 42-inch monitor, which is way too big. You're probably 30s is probably more sufficient, but I put 40s in mine because I like to work on big screens when I'm trying to get a big project done, right? You just put the either the USB-C input for Macs or an HDMI input for most computers will do just fine. That's going to feed those monitors. Now they can plop their laptop down. I don't necessarily advise providing the computer itself. Okay, most of these remote workers are bringing their own devices, but having the mouse or the docking station where the mouse can plug in and the keyboard, the full-size keyboard can plug in, and the monitors can make a critical element. You can really advertise that this is designed to help your remote workers. Okay. And of course, the rest of the amenities that go to an Airbnb. You want to provide for guest services like your laundry facilities need to be on point. You want to provide a washer and dryer. Keep in mind, they're living and working in this space, so it needs to be as turnkey as possible. And you got to think very much like a hotel. You got to think more like a concierge service that's designed for somebody. And just, you were living in the property. In a lot of cases, most of my Airbnbs were prior houses I lived in. So they're already set up with the necessary furnishings, the spoons, the knives, things of that nature. Make sure all that's well dialed in, but also really get into the guest services side. We provide a guidebook. It's digital. We provide a guidebook where I recommend restaurants nearby. We're a pretty heavy MMJ marijuana community, so I offer them the dispensaries that I go to, a list of places you can get, the proper amount, the right weed here in town, right? And people laugh it off, but I'm telling you, it's an amenity that people really appreciate. Hey, it saved me a bunch of time trying to find a recreational dispensary because otherwise you got to get your medical card, which is not that hard to do, but it takes more time. Recreational is just easier. Treat your properties like a working hotel. You ever been to a hotel and they got the business center downstairs in the lobby there with the printers and all that stuff? You don't need a printer anymore because ain't nobody printing anything anymore, right? And a fax machine is like, for what? 1995 call. They want their fax machine back. Right? But there are things you can provide if you treat this like you have your own business center inside of your Airbnb. You will make more money on that because you're appealing to a different clientele that honestly is in the very early stages of what that's going to become. And Airbnb is trying to lead the charge on that. And I can't wait to see this reality TV series and people who work from home and they're using other people's Airbnbs to do that. I think that's going to be incredible. Now let's talk about the economics on it, okay? Here in Colorado Springs, the average single-family rental is currently going for about $2,000 to $2,500. Denver, I imagine, is more than that, though, right? I mean, would you imagine a single family is probably $3,000 now?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I follow a couple of like apartment locator things on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure I saw something for $5,000 on one of something that they're advertising. I'm like, I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the property I would advertise. That doesn't look appealing to me.
But to the right person, it might, especially if it's set up fully as an Airbnb. You got to keep in mind, some people are building their vacation into their work schedule, right?
That's true.
So they may not drop $5,000 a month as normal rent, because that strikes me as high. I mean, that seems like a lot. But if they're only going to be in your property for 3 months, they may have built their vacation into that work schedule. They're not officially even taking a vacation.
Right. It's just after I get done doing my stuff, I get to go do a lot of cool things in this area that I live in.
Exactly. So I don't think that if you were going to get $2,200, maybe $2,500 a month for a monthly rental on an unfurnished house, I can tell you will comfortably get $35,000 to $4,000 a month for that exact same property as a full month of Airbnb, right? Mm-hmm. And let's do the math on why. Whereas you probably would have gotten $150, maybe $200 a night. Multiply that times the month, that would have been $4,500 to $6,000. But because they're booking the entire month, Airbnb gives you the option to offer a monthly discount, taking them down from the 6 G's they would have paid for that down to $4,000 to $5,000. It still seems like a lot, but when you give them the ability to work from that environment, they don't have to take time off from their job. I can promise you, people are adding their vacation money into it. I've also seen that because companies are not having to spring for larger office space, right? They can downscale their offices. Commercial is suffering in a lot of markets right now because large companies are going, we don't need 20,000 square foot of workspace anymore.
Right.
Because a lot of our people are now working from home and only coming into the office very sparingly. They're giving that back to the employee as like home office stipends, right?
Nice.
And I got a buddy who's getting that right now. He's getting an extra $1,200, $1,500 a month.
Oh, wow.
To fund his home office, pay for his internet, pay for all those systems he's got to get at the home, right? And they're adding it to his salary. I think we're going to see a lot more of that as a perk for companies who are realizing getting good people is even easier when they can stay home and work from home with their kids and their family, and more importantly, work from anywhere in the country they want to be at the moment. Right? So if that $1,200 to $1,500 coming from the employer offsets the $4,000 or even $5,000 a month, you know, they're already paying $2,000, $3,000 a month anyway.
Right.
Now they're building in vacation prices, and you're seeing home swaps, like companies that are setting up where you can swap homes. Like, you want to work or live in Colorado, I live in Houston, right? Why don't you take my place for a while? And I'll take your place for a while.
Pretty cool.
Right? And so these home swap sites are setting up all over. And the important thing is when they get there, your property's got to be equipped for the work from home person who's going to need that faster internet, the more powerful Wi-Fi, the amenities. They're going to want to live and breathe inside your amenity. I want to take one more step further with that. We got to talk about transportation. Right? Okay. If you couple your Airbnb business, we also have a Turo business. Now, for those who don't know, a Turo is basically Airbnb for cars, right? Private party car rentals. Now, you may not want to, at least I'm not going to leave like my Ferrari or something. I don't have a Ferrari yet, but I'm working on that.
Right.
I'm not going to leave the keys to my Ferrari and go, you can rent that out. If you can encompass, and I've seen certain Airbnbs that are offering this, where they're leaving the car as well.
Yeah.
Right? So they're adding, maybe making an extra $1,000 a month even, and you got a rental car built into that rental payment. So now you've got transportation, you've got all your amenities, you've got your high-speed internet, a work-from-home office space, and all of it's encompassing. This translates into a lot of dollars because you were only going to get $2,000, $2,200 a month for this property. Now you're getting $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000 a month, not dealing with HOAs. Eugene can't complain because you can just show him, I got a 1-month lease, get off my property, bounce player. Right? So you're covering all those bases and you're providing an additional source of income. I got to tell you guys, you need to be looking into this for your short-term and long-term rentals. If you were making $200, $300 a month on a rental, you don't have to do that anymore. Furnish that bad boy real nice, set it up, work from home, and start advertising on the short-term rental sites, Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO. I think we're going to see a huge shift in people who are not going to own homes at all. But they're just going to bounce randomly from VRBO to VRBO, Airbnb to Airbnb. And I'll be frank, as I say that, I get excited because that's ultimately the life I want to lead. Like, I want to own properties to provide a source of income so I can be where I want to be. Right. But do I want to own properties to live in it? It's sketchy now, right?
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, like big famous real estate investor, lives in a rental. He owns real estate, a ton of it.
Right.
Right, but he says that you should rent where you live and own the places you use in investments. And it created this huge ripple effect on the internet. Oh, that's crazy. Why would you rent if you own property? That's stupid. What's stupid is sleeping in your most valuable asset.
When you could be leveraging it
to make money.
Make way more money.
Right. And living somewhere else and somebody else is paying for you to be there.
Yeah.
Right. As it sits today, I make about $6,000 to $7,000 a month on rental income. Right? If I find an Airbnb somewhere that I like on a beach, because that's where I'd rather be right now, right? And it's even 4,000. We were in Mexico, Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Gorgeous deck, this balcony overlooking the ocean, right? 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. Internet access was stable, not great, but that's changing too, where, Tesla's releasing a satellite-based internet, supposed to be out sometime next year. You got Viasat, a couple. So right now, with a really remote location, it's hard to get internet access, but so it had okay internet. I don't know if I would have trusted it to be a mobile worker.
Right.
But generally speaking, it was such a cool location, and I can kind of work what I want, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But you want to make sure that's dialed in, right, that you can brag about your internet speeds, because I called him, I was like, well, we're paying $200 a night, right? Yep. How much would it be if we just wanted to stay for a month? And he's like, $3,500. And like he thought it was this really atrociously high number. I'm going, man, for $3,500 a month, I would never leave.
I'm here.
Right? I'll rent my place out here back in Colorado Springs at a profit to a mobile worker, perhaps.
Right.
Right? And I'm living out here, and they're offsetting a lot of the cost of my rent. It's a great deal. You see what I'm saying? The world is changing. You want to wrap around it. And one of the ways that you build the 3 freedoms we're looking for, economic, money freedom, time freedom, geographic freedom, is by providing passive income. This is a way to provide that geographic freedom to somebody else and give you the economic money freedom that you need to keep building your empire, right? So you buy deals, you set them up as corporate rentals, and you're solving a bunch of problems all simultaneously. It's an awesome opportunity. I'm so excited about the future that's going to hold. And that's our show for today. It's kind of a short and sweet one, but I really wanted to go over it. It's an awesome time to be looking at your portfolio and seeing which properties based on HOA restrictions or city restrictions or whatever can turn into short-term rentals. They're a lot more lucrative. They're definitely more work, but if you're renting them monthly out to remote workers like Airbnb wants you to, I think you're going to find it's going to be a great profit center for you and allow you to travel the world as you want to and live the life that you want through real estate investing. With that, this is Donnie Coram, your Foreclosure Deals Coach. Thank you for tuning in each and every week to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast and reminding you once again, don't buy a house, buy a deal.
Want more of the Foreclosure Deals Coach? Hit subscribe and stay tuned for more of the mindset, methodology, and tools you'll need to invest in foreclosures. Visit foreclosuredealscoach.com and text DEAL to get a list of foreclosures in your area.